We are very excited about today's show, and before we begin, we got Jessie Ledoux with our product feature of the week. So Jessie, tell us what you got for us.
Hey, Stephen, we are known for our super intense courses that are so in-depth, they give you all the information you need to know. So we saw a need for a pageant dictionary, like a beginner's guide to all the fancy phrases they hear in pageantry that they may not really understand at first glance what they mean. So we've put together a massive dictionary, A to Z, with all of the most popular terms and phrases about the pageant industry. So everything from appointed title, round robin interview, pretty feet. So you name it, it's probably in here.
Got it. Okay. So the benefit for us putting this together and the benefit for maybe newbies coming into the industry from your experience is what?
I mean, if I were a newbie coming into the industry, I would read it from top to bottom because why not? It's really easy to read. It's sorted by letter, so you can just kind of scroll down and see. Or if you have a word in mind, you want to see if we have it, on the top, you just click the letter that is pink, and then it'll drop you right down to that specific letter. So if you are on a pageant resale site, like trying to get a deal on a dress or a fun fashion outfit, and you see the phrase OOC, that's outfit of choice, but like you might not know that that's what it means, or OOAK, one of a kind. So if you see that, you can just go right to this article, click through, scroll down, but I would suggest reading it top to bottom just because it's a quick read, really segmented and organized, and it just helps you be more in control of the things happening in the industry around you.
So good. All right. Is there a cost associated with it? How do they find it? All that stuff.
So it's a totally free article. And again, it's like dozens of pages long when we put it in our own documents, but it's so insightful. And like I said, it's so organized. You can find it by visiting pageantplanet.com and click articles, and it'll take you right there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessie.
Welcome to Pageant Planet's podcast, where we share stories and strategies to help expand and connect the global pageant community. Visit pageantplanet.com to find pageants, hire coaches, shop for dresses, and more. Now, here's your host, Stephen Roddy.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode. Today, Jessie and myself, we are going to be talking about overdone pageant trends. So, Jessie, set the stage for us.
Hey, Stephen, it's no secret that many of our listeners and followers are not novices in the industry, and a novice simply means fairly new or just starting out. And sometimes newer contestants will see or hear a trend, latch onto it and replicate it, not realizing when they do it, it'll be like the millionth time a judge will have seen it because they've probably just seen it once or twice. So today we are going to be discussing some overdone trends that we have seen over the past few years and how to avoid them.
That's really good. And some of these might I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, right? I mean, one, like every panel pretty much has a novice judge. And if you're a novice competitor, a novice judge is just that, somebody that doesn't know really anything about pageantry. This is more than likely their first or second pageant that they've ever judged. So they won't know any of these overdone trends because they're not familiar with the industry, right?
And even the things that we say, like they still might be the right thing for you, but we want to make you aware, and then the decision is yours. So don't take this as if we say it, you can't do it, use it, replicate it, or make it your own. It just like one of those things. Perfect example. I use the phrase, the crown to be, I want the crown to be my microphone in my resume for my first MIO local when I was 17, because I heard Angela Perez Baracchio say it, who was Miss, oh my God, I'm so old, Miss America, like 94 or something, said it in an interview, and I was like, I love that. So I latched onto it myself. And then as I got into the industry, I realized like, okay, it's one of the most overdone phrases, but I had no idea. So with that said, like just take this for what it's worth, adapt if you need to on your own choices, and then trust your instincts too.
Yeah. And, you know, some of these might be overdone in America and maybe not, like you might not have ever heard it if you're in Australia, South Africa, Europe, or Canada. So there's that geographical thing too that for you, it might be like, wow, I'll be a trailblazer if I implement this in my country. But use it with caution because, thankfully we have a lot of listeners all over the world. And, we have kind of a pulse on what's going on in the global pageant community. So use with caution if you do implement it. But with that said, Jesse, do you want to go ahead and start us off with the first appearance section?
Yeah, so there'll be two sections, the appearance section, and that means like what you wear and how you look, not the appearances you go on. And the second section we'll talk about is the interview section, common phrases that we see that are used in interview, and we'll provide with alternatives too. So the first in the appearance is everyone's favorite shoe, the Tippy top, and Tippy tops are just a popular version of nude colored platform sandals, and they're like 6 inches tall, and they have been worn on stage for several years across multiple categories, divisions, and systems. Wow, that was a struggle. Steven, it's like, do you want to talk about why they're overdone maybe?
Yeah, totally. I mean, too many contestants, they use these shoes for every phase of composition. And I get it. They're very versatile. However, to me, it just feels like you don't think about a shoe to complete your look and you just went the safe route. I need a shoe. I've already bought these. They're like $80. Let's just wear them out for every phase of, competition. Mm-hmm. Kind of point number two is I've just seen way too many toes go over the edge and through the straps. I mean, it's there's so much pressure. Yeah, and they kind of spread out and that pinky toe is hanging over the side or, just all the toes are just jumping off the front of it. And, I can promise you if the judges have been judging for any length of time that they've seen the toes do their thing too. Mm-hmm. And finally, many contestants wear the shoe because they just don't feel like they have the height to and they have walking challenges when they use them. And, just expert tip here, don't wear 6-inch shoes if you don't feel comfortable, period. I mean, the thing is the judges are going to realize that, you're short because everybody wears big shoes, right? So even though you wear 6 inches, you're still going to be, whatever the distance is, your height wise between the tallest girl and you, it's still going to be the same, right? So what's an inch or two anyways?
Yeah,
but,
the only time it matters if you have those is in a group lineup, and so little of your time is spent in a group lineup to compare you to somebody else. So if you're worried about how your legs look in shoes and when you're wearing a short dress or you're in swimsuit or fitness, it's just one of those things where a 4-inch heel will do the same thing for your legs that a 6-inch heel does.
Yeah, that's good. Now, do you have a possible alternative to tippy tops? I mean, should platform shoes be just banned altogether? Because we've seen a lot of that in the USA pageant this year, where there was just no platform. It was very low to the ground. Should it be abandoned altogether?
Yeah, so I'd say find a sandal with a more modest platform, so 1 inch or 1.5 inches. And one platform actually on the front of your foot make your shoe more comfortable when you're standing on it for a long time. It's just more cushion between your foot and the floor, which is where a lot of that strain comes from. And the second, it makes the pitch of the heel itself less severe. So if you have a platform, you have a 4-inch heel, okay, now it's only a 3-inch heel. So it's a lot easier on your feet. So I would say that's one thing you can do. And like you said, Stephen, if the judges can see your shoe and there's a 2-inch platform, they know you're significantly shorter. So you're not fooling anyone. A simpler shoe that might have an element that goes more with your outfit will prevent attention from being drawn to your feet in a negative way.
Yeah. I'm kind of going to take a little side tangent here, shocker.
Do it.
But I mean, there's some pageants in India and Miss Earth where there is a height requirement, right? So I mean, you have to be a certain height in order to compete. But there's no judging score where the director tells the judges, okay, and automatically crown the tallest girl. Mm-hmm. Right. You have to, there's some pageants, it's fine. You have to be a certain height to compete, and that just is what it is. As long as you meet that height requirement, there's no extra bonus point if you can walk in a 6-inch heel versus a 4-inch heel. So to Jesse and what Jesse has said in previous episodes, if you're going to look like a baby giraffe trying to walk in these high heels, just don't do it. Just elect for a smaller heel.
I saw a girl last year walk in 8-inch heels in their evening gown. The only reason I saw it is that I was emceeing the pageant, so I saw her backstage. So the judges never would have seen it. But I don't even think I would say, if I were a judge and I would have seen it, I don't think I would have been impressed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it would have, she had like these literally 8-inch heels in her evening gown. So you couldn't see them, but it wasn't like I would have scored her higher because she had higher shoes on.
Right. Gosh, I feel like those things would be so heavy too.
They looked heavy, man. They looked really heavy.
It's like those ones that Lady Gaga had. You remember?
Without the heel itself. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the tippy tops. We have a lot of other versions of shoes on Pageant Planet, and actually, we're rolling out shoes, nude shoes for women of color this week. So you'll be able to see it at the recording of this. They won't be live when this episode goes live, but in the following week, you'll be able to see nude shoes for women of color on our episode or on our shop. So I'm excited to reveal those to you.
Yeah, that's true. Nude isn't nude for everyone.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so that was tippy tops. What's the next kind of appearance, something that's been overdone?
Yeah, so sock buns and other overstyled hair looks. Steve, you know what I mean when I say a sock bun?
Is that the thing where like Olivia Copo had, where her whole of her hair was there and up top?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. But so it's like really neat, and they have like special hair elasties where you basically just scoop your hair into it, and it creates that perfect circle on top of your head.
Yeah, it looks like Brillo pad in a circle, and you put your ponytail through it, and then you just kind of wrap it around. So it's like definitely a trend. And that's exactly right. I think Olivia Culpo really did start that trend when she won Miss Universe. And for several years that have followed, it's been very popular. And when I say overstyled hair, I see it a lot in younger natural pageants. Like, and I totally get it. Like, it's a lot of pressure on parents to do your own kids' hair when you're not sure what to do or how to do it. So a lot of parents will take their kids to a hairstylist that's not a pageant person, and we see like perfectly coiffed hair. So it's like hair sprayed to high heaven. It's not moving for days. It looks like a little crunchy, right? Just what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
So like with regard, like, so why this like look is overdone for the sock bun, I've seen several that look like straight up bowling balls. And there is a fine line between it being too small, so it like looks disproportionate, and then too big because of the nature of the style. Like, it can feel contrived either way. And we talk about that over style, both in a bun or otherwise. They keep their hair like this in all phases, which isn't a judge favorite. Like, it helps with memorability. Like, the judge will be, oh yeah, that's my crispy hair girl, and that's like not a favorable thing. Like, you don't want that to happen. Right. And I mean, how often, and like for those that wear like the bun for every category, like how often do you wear a gigantic bun to the beach or the gym if you have a fitness or a swimsuit competition in your pageant?
Okay, so I kind of...
the gym, you ever see somebody in a giant bun?
If you do, it's like, okay, she's here for show, not for go. Like, she's just here to walk on the treadmill for a few minutes and say she went to the gym, and then she's going to get her like her smoothie at the mall. So, I mean, but I do get it. I mean, as you said, it's kind of easy. You put your hair in a sock bun. It's there. It's stationary. And then it's somewhat universal, right? You use it for every phase. Right. But like, what's some possible alternatives for people that are like, oh, that was my safety net. That's how I save time to do wardrobe changes in the back. I mean, what's an alternative?
There's a couple alternatives. The look is your hair off your face. That's the look you're going for. So there are several alternatives. First, either slick your hair straight back. So it's like there's no, and a lot of Miss Universe contestants do this. So it's on trend, straight back. So there's no part in your hair, just straight back. Or you can like part it a deep side part and then slick the front back. And how I fake this when I do it myself is I will side part my hair. I'll take the front two sections that fall in front of my ears, and I will pull it into a tiny ponytail under the rest of my hair that's down. So it looks really sleek. It's off my face. It's flat, but then everything else is still like voluminous and does this thing. So it's just a really good look to keep your hair out of your face. A couple of other alternatives. Soft and tousled are really in right now. If you look on Pinterest or the red carpet, it's like soft, loose, not on purpose, kind of looks like it just hadn't happened organically. So try playing with a loose pinned up style that doesn't take a lot of time and doesn't have to look perfect. And then finally, your favorite, Steven, ponies are in, baby.
Yeah, it is my favorite.
like a high pony, a mid pony, a low pony. Like all of these things give you the same sleek effect as the overdone styles, but still look really fresh, very now, which is new school pageantry. And again, all heights and textures. You can do straight ponytails, curly ponytails, teasing in the front, no teasing. It all works well.
Yeah, ponytails are my favorite. Love my wife in a ponytail. Okay, with the thing, I thought that was neat what you said about you take the lower hair and you pull it really tight behind your ears, and then you do a ponytail under your hair. What's that? I'm sure a lot of the girls listening know exactly what that's called or whatever, but just in case somebody is a novice and doesn't know, I don't know what that thing is called. Is there a specific name for it so that girls could maybe YouTube it to find out how to do it?
Well, Kevin calls it a rat tail. I'm not sure what the term is. I don't know if there's a term. I just did it once and it worked, and now I do it all the time. I don't know if it has a name. So I'm going to describe it in great detail. Hopefully that will help if they wanted, like, I don't know how to do it. So part your hair in the center or on the side, whatever you do normally, and then take a comb, and from that part, draw a line from that to right behind your ear and take that section in the front. Repeat that on the other side. So now you have two sections of hair you're holding in front of your ears. Then, so you comb that, spray it, you pull it around the side, and your other hair should be like clipped up so you can do this easily. You take a tiny rubber band and you secure it at the nape of your neck, at the bottom of your hairline, really, really tight, and then you just lay the rest of your hair over it.
Okay, so I'm taking it. So I'm taking it after I do the part thing. I'm taking it. I have a piece of hair in both hands. Yeah. And then I pull it straight back behind my ears, and then I tie it in a ponytail right
at the base of your neck, at your base of your hairline.
Is that the amdula oblongata, water boy?
That's a brain thing, Steven.
I know, but like that's where it's located, right?
I don't know. The nape of the neck. It's very easy for me to say it that way.
All right. So anyway. So that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Nailed it. Okay, great. Good. All right. So what's the next appearance factor?
So the next is solid color shift dresses. And this we see most for interview, onstage question, introduction, orientation. Many contestants will opt for a solid color basic shift dress. It's very clean looking, professional, and safe. And Stephen, I'm sure you've seen this a million times. So like, why, in your perspective, do you think this is overdone?
For just a solid basic, because it's safe. Like, and that's why like all these trends and something gets overdone because like, oh, that's good. It's safe and you can use it pretty much in everything. And so people opt for the safe because who really wants to stick out? I mean, it sounds romantic to say I want to stick out and be different from the pack, but when it gets really down to it, most of us want to fit in to the tribe. It's like what is it? Like, you know, back in our ancestral roots, nobody wanted to be kicked out of the tribe because it was dangerous. Right? So it's like that gene has been passed down to us. So it's just like that internal fear. But that's my 2 cents. Am I right?
You're right. And there's so many online retailers available. The options are endless. Spend some time exploring different styles, colors, or if you have a shift dress that you truly do love and you have to use it, like make it fresh. Add some specific accessories that make it feel more like a style than you just put on this dress and put on nude shoes. Like pageantry is so different now than it used to be. So some alternatives to the solid color shift dress: jumpsuits, rompers, separates, unique straps. So even if it's not like a tank strap, like are you doing a different neckline? Color blocking dresses, mixing and matching different bright colors are all trends you can explore. And this past season, especially like Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, separates made a huge comeback in a modern and feminine way. I mean, we saw at least 15 suits at Miss USA, Stephen. Does that like sound right to you?
Yeah. Who was it that wore the tuxedo suit? Remember we were like,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And her whole wardrobe, Pennsylvania's wardrobe was awesome, like all week. So that was really cute twist on the tuxedo. And it's like, she had a lot of confidence to pull that off. She nailed it.
I mean, if you watch any Bravo show like me, who watches all of them, a lot of them take, they're like confessional videos where them one-on-one reacting to situations. All of them wear solid color things, but the top of it is always visually interesting, like a headshot look. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love the way that strap looks. I never would have thought of that way. So just be thinking of how you can update the solid color in a way that's not just like standard strap. Like, I think that's really what we're talking about, is like the most basic square box, high neck, thick tank straps. Just make it unique, make it different. Like, there's no excuse. The world's at your fingertips when you're shopping online. Just do some digging. You'll find something.
And is it pretty safe to say that if you want to make your wardrobe or your dress, we'll just say like dress, interesting, you either have to have a unique color, like a unique fabric, or like kind of a unique cut or element to it, or like unique additional material that's placed on it. So one of those four, I'm sure there's probably others, but that's just off the top of my head, to make it unique. Like if you have a standard color with a standard cut, it's going to appear boring, safe. If you have a standard color with a really unique cut, right, that could be, as you said, interesting. If you have a standard color that's laid on a really expensive or unique fabric, then that would the color is going to show up different. So the color is going to look different, but it's really the fabric that's creating the color, changing the color. Yep. So basically, when you're selecting your dress, you want one of those four things to be unique. Because if you have nothing's unique on all four of those, then it's just like, okay, it's just an extra dress.
Right.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. So now let's shift over to, those are three things for appearance. What about interview? What are some trends that are overdone in interview?
Oh, the phrase, I will use social media.
Oh, yeah. That's been around a while.
Gets me right in the heart every time. So I use this because, like, with social media being so prevalent in our society, it's like no doubt that most contestants are thinking about how to incorporate it in the title holder plan. Absolutely. 2 thumbs up. You should be doing this to prepare for how you can use it to increase both your impact and promote your title. It's overdone because literally anyone can say it. Anyone can say it. And they've done 1 minute of work or 200 hours of work. We see it for both of it. And I don't want you to be discounted because you said the same thing someone who did 1 minute of work did. You best be preparing something more detailed and strategic. The phrase alone will not give a judge confidence that you will execute well or have thought about a plan at all. So, right. Stephen, you are a social guru. Do you have some alternative suggestions that you might be able to share?
Yeah. So, I mean, start looking at social media platforms and really pick 2 or 3 that you excel at personally. And it doesn't even have to be 2 or 3. If you just excel at one and you have a strong backing, a strong plan, because I mean, think about it. In an interview, you have a limited amount of time that you have with the judges. So you don't have time to go through your business plan on every single one of them. So if you just say, well, for example purposes, I choose Instagram, and then you go in specifically like how you would grow their following on Instagram, or how you would, more importantly, recruit other girls to compete in this pageant through using Instagram as a vehicle, that's going to be a lot more powerful. So basically, think about like where you like plan to post, and also think about like what your goal is. And the goal of every director is to get more contestants. I mean, it's simple. So think about like what you're familiar with and how you can leverage whatever platform, Pinterest. Let's stay away from, well, I mean, you can use Twitter, but Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, one of those 4, or even YouTube, and say, here's how I'm going to get you more contestants using one of these 5 channels, and just lay out specifically maybe like 2 or 3 bullet points of how you're going to do that. And then that for me would give me enough like confidence in you as a judge to say, okay, this girl like actually thought about her, this girl or guy actually thought about their plan, and I have confidence that they can execute it. Yep.
I'd even say TikTok is a viable option. Some people are really talented at making TikTok work for them. And it hits a younger demographic than most other channels. So if you're looking at trying to recruit from the ground up, like, don't limit yourself. If you have a natural ability with the platform, go for it, and go for it all the way with your plan. Because like just using the phrase, I'll use social media, isn't enough, and it's not going to win you the title over anybody else.
Yeah, and even introducing something like TikTok that's not necessarily like mainstream, that maybe your older demographic of judges will be familiar with, they might say, well, what's TikTok? It's like, oh, it's really great. Here's the thing. And then you can kind of educate them a little bit. It's like, wow, all right, this girl like knows her stuff and she's up on the trends, which can work for you.
Yep.
Yeah, good job. All right, so that's the use social media phrase, which it's just like, oh, I'm going to use social media to help grow, this pageant. What's another overused phrase in interview?
So I want to be a role model. You've heard it.
I want to be a role model to younger girls. Yeah. I hear that a lot. So, and I always hear it in a pageant voice. It's kind of like the server voice where the server walks up. How are you all doing today? At the table. Where
yes.
You're like, what? Such a fake voice. I always hear that in the pageant voice for I want to be a role model. So what does it mean for maybe somebody who hasn't heard that phrase?
Yeah, so it's just when judges ask contestants why they want to win, it's very popular. It's one that no one can argue with because it's a popular reason, and one that's very admirable. So it's again, just like the solid color dresses, it's very safe. And it's overdone, and for the similar reason that it is for social media. Anybody can say it. It's a generic phrase, doesn't offer anything memorable or anything that will connect a judge to you. When I give our clients the advice to tell stories and we find stories that work for them, it's so that they can make those connections. Because if you're just using generic things, they're not going to latch on to anything. Plus, many contestants don't really know why they actually want to be a role model. They just kind of talk about, I want to be a role model, but they have no reason behind it. Like, so I say, why do you want to be a role model? Why is that important to you? And they often kind of blank.
Crickets.
So,
yeah, you can hear crickets chirping in the background.
Yes, they say it, but they don't know what it means or why they want to be one. So the alternative is, like, if you want to continue using this phrase or a phrase like it, make sure you have several stories to connect with. So, for example, here are some questions that might elicit a story. So pretend or rewind or pause and write these down, and then think if you were going to explain the answer with a story, you'll be on the right track. So 1, who is your role model? 2, why are role models necessary? And you can look at this like, okay, who is your role model and what did that do for you? 3, who do you want to be a role model to and why? Because if you want to be a role model to anyone, you're unlikely to connect with anyone. Yeah. So if you have a more like solidified direction, your actions can be completely geared toward that demographic. So once you start to narrow down your scope, like, again, if you're a title holder, you can make great impact, but you'll make greater impact if you have like a distinct plan for one area versus trying to help everyone a little, if that makes sense. And then the last question is, what is your role model experience? How have you already been a role model to somebody? Look and be prepared to elaborate. If not, it just feels like you're saying it because you feel like you have to.
Yeah. So, so it's just echo what Jesse said. Look deep into this topic and just be prepared to elaborate like what the judges ask you, because again, they want more detail than just, I want to be a role model, so specifics shows that you thought it through. Vague generalities shows that like, okay, you haven't put much thought into it.
You check in a box.
Yep. All right. So what's the third one in this category?
The third one is pretty new to the last couple of years. And it's the quote, I know this is a job, or I want this job, or I will treat this like a job. Anything with the word job in it. And there's no doubt that being a title holder should be looked at as a job. Some of us, like, it's an all-in full-time job. For others, it's more part-time. But regardless, the level of commitment and responsibility required to see a title through is like no joke. It can be long days, early mornings, speaking engagements, photo ops, shoe blisters, sore cheeks from smiling. It's the hardest yet the most glamorous job in the world when you do it right.
Yeah, and why is this overdone?
This is overdone because there was a trend about 5 years ago that stemmed from the advice, quote, make sure you ask for the job before you leave the room. It translated to contestants actually using the word job in every interview, and you don't necessarily need to go be so direct in recognizing it is a job. So the alternative here is introduce the job as your plan instead. Describe the skills you plan to put toward this. And the phrase like, as Miss, Ms., Mrs., Mr. X, whatever your title that you're pursuing, I will ... And that goes a long way to showing judges you've already thought about the heavy requirements of being a title holder, and you're asking for the job in a way that shows like, okay, she is putting herself in this position. She or he is putting themselves in this position to show that they are ready and they've thought about it and they're prepared and they know what they're going to treat it like it's a commitment and a job. So you don't have to say, I'm ready for this job. This is my dream job. Like, all of it is just kind of tired.
Yeah. So is it something that they need to go into so much specific detail like, okay, Like, I know that this is a job, so that, as Miss Ohio, I plan on setting aside, Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 to just do social media networking to find new contestants for, this pageant, something like that. Or
I don't think you need specifics to that level. I think it's more once the title holder establishes what their personal goals are with the title holder, as with the title, they can then go and say, okay, here's my plan of action. Here's like the overarching theme of it. As long as you're giving enough detail where I know you've actually done the work and not just saying you're going to use social media. It's like you're going to use Instagram to promote your Monday motivation in a way to uplift women's confidence. Like that is at least more direct than I want to be a role model and use social media to do so. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, that makes sense to me. And if anyone needs additional clarity on that, just go to Pageant Prep. It's on the menu of Pageant Planet, and you can access for $29 US dollars. You can access a portal. You can ask all these questions to Jessie. She'll answer them and clarify in detail and all that good stuff. So, all right. So if you were going to summarize all this, how would you do that?
So in summary, as we mentioned, these are not steadfast rules. It's more to educate you on the popular decisions and allow you to choose your own direction. So the moral of the story, though, is new school pageantry is about individuality, making the stage your own. So be true to yourself and not things you've seen be successful in order to stand out from the crowd.
Got it. Well, thank you all for listening. And if you've received any benefit from this podcast or from ones previous, please consider giving us a 5-star review. It may seem like a small action, but it really does help us keep the show going.
Want to become a part of pageant history? Create a free contestant or business profile on pageantplanet.com to unlock hidden features and connect with other experts throughout the world.